just as shocked about the title as you are. Hi again. I am Fathom, and I am the founder of Other Fiber Creations, and today we're going to talk about what I managed to accomplish this last year, because it was a lot more than I thought I would. For those who don't know me, I'm Fathom, like I said, and Other Fiber Creations is the business I founded in July of this past year. I had been part of an artist co-op, and I had had a business before that. My business got taken over by the artist co-op because I offered it. The co-op got disbanded. I lost the rights to the business. I started over again. It happens, that's life. So throughout all of that, I started again. From scratch, square one. The only thing I had to start with was my TikTok account with 1,800 followers. Besides that, I've been kind of on my own through all of this. No mentors, no guidance, just me, some books, my hooks, and some yarn. And the friends I've made along the way, which is wild to think about. I have learned a lot through this whole experience. Some things, it's like, those are obvious, duh. Some of them are things that I'm sure a lot of people don't realize if you're not somebody running a business. So, this is just going to be me chatting to you about all these things in hopes that someone maybe finds this useful. When you go to start a business, you don't need a lot of these companies that are going to be like, we'll help you file the business paperwork. They'll charge you $100 for processing fees. Don't believe them. It's a scam. Don't do it. I did it. I'm telling you now, it's a mistake. It literally costs like $200 to do it on your own, and it takes 10 minutes. The part that they gave me for free through the company I did it with, they never gave it to me. I did it on my own in less than 5 minutes. It was a disaster. Don't do it. Just fill out the paperwork yourself. Depending on where you are, if you're in the US, you look up what your state requires in order to file to be a business. For my state, I'm in Georgia. I went through the Secretary of State office in regards to corporations, filled out some paperwork. I am my own registered agent, meaning if someone needs to contact the business during business hours, they call me. I know, shocking. And I filed for an EIN, Employee Identification Number, and I did that through this IRS. I don't remember what that one stands for. Not off to a good start. I'm 24. Let's go ahead and acknowledge. I'm not a business expert. I'm just telling you what I've learned this year. But I went to the IRS, applied for an EIN, and I got a business bank account. I use Found. It keeps track of what category all of my expenses are in. Is it materials to make something? Is it a business meal? Is this income, or is this just you adding funding? And it will make a little folder to stick any extra money that might have to go to taxes in there. Pretty cool. I enjoy it. So, if you're going to do it, take a step back. Don't go to one of these businesses to do it for you. Ask a local business owner, hey, do you have any advice? Or just look it up. Take some time, take a week, and just in the evenings, read for an hour or two. I beg of you, don't waste the money like I did. Something I learned this year was that I am a lot more capable than I thought I was. I set the goal at the beginning of the year to make 200 crochet projects. That might seem like an insane number for a lot of people. For myself, when I wrote it down, it seemed mental. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had no idea what I made normally in a month. And so I got a notebook. I started this notebook at the end of 2022 just to kind of get a rough estimation going. I recommend that if you're a crafter like I am, especially a business owning crafter, just have a project log. Your product log, save that for the website. This is for you. This is something to motivate you. There are going to be months where you go crazy. There are going to be months that you don't. Use the project log to remind you make things. So when I started in 2022, I just wrote down every project I finished, what yarn I used, what colorway that yarn was, whether I made it for Etsy, and whether I filmed it for TikTok. Most of my projects were not for Etsy. Like the first month I'm looking at on here, it is November 2022. I made 2 whole projects that went onto Etsy eventually. I made 32 projects total that month. Most of said projects, 26 of them were projects that took me less than 10 minutes. They were literal appliques that I weaved in the ends on to hand out as trinkets for an event. So, there are going to be times where you make stuff and it's going to look really, really good on paper. When I got to 2023, I was in the middle of leaving an abusive relationship. He was not a good dude. Boo to him, I'm not going to name him. We don't name him here. And I needed something to distract, and so I was like, I'm going to make 200 projects in a year. I was making 30-something a month before then. I can probably do that. It's 17.5 projects a month. And I started documenting, and what I documented changed throughout the year. I went from my original list to I also featured how many skeins did a project take? Like how much yarn was I actually using? What day did I complete the project? I added a column for did someone buy this item? So it was yes, no, or non-applicable. Yes would be if it was a commission item. No would be it had not been bought yet. And non-applicable was it was a gift or a trinket of some kind. I added on a column for did I film this for YouTube? Because I started talking to you all on here mid-July, August, somewhere in there. It's been about 6 months. Wild to think about. Eventually I added another column for what hook size did I use, and the most recent addition is what is the estimated value of the project? I had so many times throughout this year that I felt like I was doing nothing. I had been polyamorous. I was practicing polyamory. And when I left the first partner, the abusive one, I coped by working. 24 projects in a month, 17, 22. And these aren't like the same little projects like it was before. These are like full-blown projects. This went from little applique type things to crop tops, plushies, cloaks, more plushies, shawls, coasters, cardigans, etc. In April, May-ish, that's when the other partner I had broke up with me. It was a blind side, it did not go well, and alongside that, almost my entire friend group went with them. And I hit a period of like a month and a half where the only thing I finished was commissions. It was some last minute commissions just to get done, such as a couple of hacky sacks, a cardigan I was ordered, a blanket, a plushie. It was items that I did not have super strong care for. April's when the breakup happened. I had started kind of healing and I was putting everything on the back burner. And I fell in love again during that time. And I'm now with an awesome guy. I love him a lot. But because I was still healing through all of it, I was not touching my projects very much. Specifically, I started crocheting around the same time I started dating the person I had broken up with. So I had kind of linked the two in my head as this was a factor of me being with them. And I assumed I would never find that love for this art again because it had been taken with them. And suddenly, in July, I found my passion again. And the main thing that helped me find it, that inspiration in that dark moment, was I looked back on everything I had made. I looked back and saw how many projects I had done. Even in those hard times where I felt like I was doing nothing, and the time for like a month where I was alone, I completed a lot more than I realized I did. Like I said, I worked on nothing, but I still finished at least 10 projects a month. I felt unproductive and unworthy. And the only thing that dragged me out of that hole was the fact I had physical proof that I had not been unproductive. I had finished something. And it's why I absolutely recommend keeping a project log. That's what the point of this whole rambling story is that it will give you a physical representation of what you can accomplish. Those moments when you crash, you will have something in front of you that says, actually, you can do the thing. It's okay if you can't do it today, because there is a day where you could, and there's a day where you'll be able to do it again. And when I restarted and refound my love for it, I went from finishing 10, 15 projects a month to I did 55 projects in July. Massive. Number 3 is kind of hand in hand with this previous point. Point number 2 was write it down because you don't know how much you'll get done. Point number 3 is that it's not about how much you get done. A major fault with my plan that I realized about 3 months ago was that I made my goal to complete 200 projects in a year. I never put down they had to be good quality projects. The commissions, fantastic. Some of the clothes I made, awesome. The stuff I've listed is the stuff that I feel confident in the quality in. But a lot of the stuff to fill project voids was not stuff that I am proud of, and it's stuff that I've frogged in the long run, such as 14 cat coasters, little cat head coasters in 1 month. I've never listed them. I don't feel the most confident in them. They are basic items that I'm glad I can make them, but I don't feel proud as an artist to have made them, you know? I have more of the little applique trinkets. I have another 8 cat coasters. I have some little plushy mushrooms. It's one of those where, in order to hit my goal, I plowed through tiny projects because I wanted the number on the page, not to feel proud of my art. I am a numbers person. I love hitting number goals. And this showed me that even though I got the satisfaction of hitting the number, I wasn't satisfied with the number. I know for a fact that throughout all of this, I have missed writing down at least 50 projects, 50. I have most likely done 300 projects this year and just didn't write them down because I'm a silly guy. In saying that, I think that out of those 300, there's probably 150 to 200 of them I feel proud of. I already know that if you are going to do something similar to this and focus on making a number of projects, I'd recommend shifting what your goalposts are. For next year, I've already made the plan. Instead of focusing on 2024 being the year of how much stuff can I make, It's how much value can I create? Because I want to make bigger projects I am proud to show off to you guys and to TikTok and put on my Etsy. Stuff like the Lotus Mandala shawl, the free-handed sweater, the novella shawl. I want to make stuff that I look at it and I say, holy crap, I made that. And I learned through this that if I just focus on how productive I am, I'm not going to do that. I'm not sure this applies to anybody else, but when I see a number goal, I'm just like, cool, I'm going to do the bare minimum. I'm just going to hit the number and I'm going to be so cool. But if I change the goalpost and change how I think about what I'm making, I'm hoping it will change something. In working on a lot of this business stuff, in working on finding yourself, you are going to discover that a lot of people in your life may not actually want what's best for you. I'm a chronic people pleaser. This is an issue I have been talking to my therapist about for going on 4 years now. Literally this April-ish, this March, April, somewhere in there, will be 4 years of us working on my chronic people pleasing. I feel fulfilled helping someone. I feel fulfilled knowing that someone's enjoying what I've done. And the thought of doing something intentionally that I know would not service someone upsets me. The people that left my life this past year, which is basically everyone I talk to, I have one person left that I talked to before everything happened, and everyone else has been new that I've met in the past year or so. But everyone who left, their biggest compliments to me weren't that I was funny to be around. Not that I was a pleasant person or that I was cool. They would sometimes say it, but it would typically take prompting. The compliment I got was that I was nice. I was kind and I was helpful. And those kinds of compliments, they are sweet. I appreciate them. But those compliments say more about what I do for them versus what they think about me. When someone calls you smart, it's not because you do the act of thinking for them. It's because you have thoughts of your own and they appreciate hearing them. When someone calls you funny, it's not because you make them laugh necessarily. It's because they find you to be someone with a sense of humor. When someone calls you kind, it's typically because you have been kind to them. When you're helpful, it's because you've been helpful to them. And I started putting up boundaries of I want to be kind and helpful, but not at my own expense anymore. And this was around the same time everything happened and everyone left. And I had been part of an artist co-op with some of these people. And I was left carrying my load of work and theirs everywhere I went. Since I've left, they haven't done anything with it because I was doing all the work. And when you sit and do all that work, it exhausts you. A lot of people pleasers that I've seen and that I've learned to see myself in don't realize just how much people value you for utility versus valuing you as a person. And that's been a major learning experience for me this year. As soon as I stopped caring what they think about how they feel about me and focused on what can I do to make myself better, because if I'm doing better, I can help them more in the long run. Suddenly they were all fleeing. They all left because I wasn't the same helpful person anymore. I wasn't the same nice person because I wouldn't put my goals on pause for theirs. Sometimes to achieve your goals, you're going to have to let go of some people. When someone shows you who they really are, sometimes you just have to believe them. And it sucks. It hurts. But it opens up a lot of doors and a lot of seats at your table for people who treat you better. People who will genuinely support you. Because they have their own thing going on, and you have your thing. And you two can be happy for each other instead of one of you demanding the other drop something to come help you. That was a massive thing for me to sit and learn and realize this year. And I recommend in 2024, not like go through your phone contacts and block everybody, but take a step back. Take a day, maybe take 2. Sit and think about if you had an ideal version of you in your head, not an idealized version of you, not like I wish that I had a better shaped nose and a better hairline. Like, no, we're not talking about that. The ideal life version of you. For me, it's somebody with a successful business where I go to craft fairs regularly. I have people who stand in my corner. I have a sense of dress that I'm confident in. My skin is clearer. I have a little bit less weight on me, sure, but it's because I work out, not because I'm actively trying to lose weight. Picture that version of you in your head, whoever that is. And then take a couple steps towards that. Because if you reach those goals, you will have more resources, more time, more energy to help the people you care about. And if someone gets mad at that fact, if someone is upset about you not sacrificing your goals in life, in your one life you have, to help them, then maybe you should start to reconsider it. I'm not saying like your friend just lost their parent, ignore them in sake of your own self-confidence. No, I'm saying if it's like an everyday thing. It is literally an everyday life thing. It's oh, such and such thing happened, I need you to come do this, because it's everyday life stuff. And it happens repeatedly and you see a pattern. Don't excuse that pattern. Because if you excuse it once, you're going to keep excusing it. I would know. I left a 4-year abusive relationship in January of this year. Not only am I a recovering people pleaser, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I strongly detest putting my less than my best effort in, less than my best foot forward. I want to make the strongest and best impression I can when I walk in a room. I want to make the best possible version of the art I can make. I want to be the best possible version of myself and put in 120% at all given times. Which means that I've put in way more hours than I should crocheting, managing Etsy, managing YouTube, managing TikTok, managing Instagram, managing Facebook, researching craft fairs, reading up on SEO tips, etc., and so forth. With that being the case, I would get very mean to myself. I would tell myself that I was a failure if I did not live up to my own expectations. I would cry and get mad at myself. I would skip meals to get more hours in. And that is not healthy. I am not saying to do that. I've done it and it didn't get me anywhere successful. The mentality change I had to have was I had to sit and think about, what if someone I love did the same thing? I try to love myself, but I'm aware that I treat myself the same way that my toxic ex-friends did. I talk to myself as someone useful, not as someone who's a person. I talk to myself as someone who I get something out of, not someone that I appreciate for existing. And I'm working on that. But I would sit and think of my best friend Leah. We've talked about Leah. I made her the Shaw Leah. You can see that video over here. I think about the moments where she has failed. Not in like the I hope she fails kind of way, but moments where she's had a hard time. Moments where she lost her job, where friendships were hard. And I think about how I reacted to her. Were there moments where I was like, God, I can see the bad decisions you made. Why did you make those? Absolutely. Did I say that to her? No, because she already knew. So why am I hammering out those points down when I already know? Instead, I would come to her with an open heart, an open mind, and let her feel heard before helping her pick up the pieces, put them back in order, and start again. I would take the time to tell her to sit back and play a video game with her. I would make dinner for her and sit and watch a show. I would walk somewhere with her to help run errands so that she could have clean clothes. So why, when I fail, do I punish myself when I give her grace? What is the logic in that? Yes, she's my best friend, but I should be my own best friend too. And you should be your own best friend too. I have started taking more time off, as I've mentioned in some of my videos. I have made a point to try and have a more regular sleep schedule. I make a point to try and drink more fruit juice daily because I was doing really bad at getting all my nutrition needs in. Because I would just eat what was available to me and not take the time to actually cook for myself. You have to genuinely look at yourself as your own friend, and not a toxic friend, an actual friend. You have to sit and accept that you are going to make mistakes because everyone makes mistakes. And you still love your friend when they make mistakes, so why don't you treat yourself with that same love and grace? I'm not a self-help guru. I'm not like, here's my course on how to love yourself. This is just something I've had to go through the mental shift of learning this year. I have struggled for years. I have an extreme form of PTSD to the point that I'm still seeing a therapist once or twice a week, despite the fact it's been about a decade since I was living in that situation. I've been in bad relationships. I've had a lot of trouble with anxiety causing my skin to break out and then me doing this in my sleep. I have had moments where I've refused to eat, or I've considered doing not so good things. And in all of that, I have made mistakes. And I can either choose to yell at myself and go, okay, never going to happen again. I'm going to put this on lockdown and push myself so it never happens again. Or I can take the time to heal from whatever caused me to make the mistake and try again. I can learn to make the mistake and live with it. I can learn that, so I messed up a stitch. Maybe that stitch was meant to be messed up. Maybe that typo was meant to be there. Maybe my hair was meant to be in that project. Who knows? Whatever happens, I'm allowed to mess up. And messing up is going to be a huge part of what forms me as a person and what forms this business into what I want it to be. I don't want this business to be something that I feel tension and anxiety and pressure in every single day. There are going to be days where I feel pressure. Craft fairs. Oh my God, the stress about finding craft fairs to sell at. Not the point. There's going to be days where I feel stressed to reach a deadline with commissions. I have 4 commissions to finish right now, due by end of January. I think I can do it. Probably. I'm sure this next week will be fine. I'm sure you'll get a video about it. It'll be great. But I don't want to have to feel that stress on my shoulders, weighing me down every single day. And I don't think that you should have to feel that way either about being perfect. That's the last thing I learned this year, was just perfection is not something that I can reach, because it's not something anyone can reach. To err is to be human. That's okay. We're allowed to mess up. And if someone tells you otherwise, A, it means you probably hurt them. So maybe apologize and reflect on it. And B, if they're just being a dick, let them be a dick somewhere else. You don't need that in your life. That is what I learned this year. In case you're curious about any other stats, we've hit 32 subscribers on this YouTube channel, over 50 watch hours, I think over 2,000 views, maybe 1,500 views, something like that. I have made 4 sales on Etsy, and commission-wise, we're gonna do some math. Commission-wise, I made 30 items for people. Some of them were a more bartering, I'm giving you this as payment for that. Some of them were actual cash. I now know for a fact that not every project is in here, because I can think of the first 3 commission items that I was commissioned to make, all for the same guy, right after I actually got my business license, and they're not in here. So that's proof that I mess up sometimes, even in my documentation. But I made 30 items for commission stuff this year, which I had not realized just how many I had made. I've come a long way this year, and I'm hoping that next year I can go even further and that you guys can come along. For now, my question of the day to you is, A, do you have any New Year's resolutions? Is that something you practice? And if so, what are they? That's B. I don't know why I said A, as if that was going to be 2 separate questions. My point is, if you practice New Year's resolutions, what is yours? I do not practice them. I practice that the day before the new year. You spend it doing things you want to do in the next year. So I'll be crocheting, doing some French practice, doing some ASL practice, and spending time with my boyfriend in Huntsville. For now, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, to comment, to subscribe. And if you'd like to see what I make for sale and support me there, you can look at my Etsy and my own personal Square site down below in the description. You can also find my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, and I think I need to add my Pinterest down there too. All sorts of links, a bajillion links. God, there's so many links. I am gonna go work on editing this and probably work on finishing another project before the year ends. Thanks for watching. Have a great new year, and bye for now.